Hot stove conversations about baseball, history, football, and current events that may leave you saying there's more to consider. Now here's your host, Jack Moore.
Welcome to another edition of More to Consider. I'm here with my friend Charles, so it's Chuck and Jack again. We have been talking about, I keep running my mouth about general frustrations of arguments that come about, and I think people miss the point. So I brought up the Second Amendment thing, was in the last show we did, where people constantly get into whether you have a right to shoot Bambi in your front yard or shoot the incoming intruder into your house, whatever. And I don't think the Second Amendment has anything to do with that. I think it simply meant they didn't want standing armies. We beat the shit. We beat that up. We talked about that. In the closing of that, I said other things that have frustrated me is like this whole dust up and pissed off, everybody going crazy over the Dobbs decision and what that did to Roe versus Wade. And you say you have some thoughts on that.
Yes,
So go.
I have some
Let's
thoughts
hear
on
them.
this.
Go. Talk to me.
So I've talked to people about this abortion thing, and
Yeah.
women say, "Well, you're a guy, you don't have any say so in this." And I say, how about this? How about no woman in Congress should ever vote to send us to war? Because I don't recall women having to sign up for this selective service, or in other words, the draft. So they have really the ultimate vote on a man's life. They can send us to go die that they don't have to do themselves. So when you talk about I shouldn't be able to talk about abortion, I should have no opinion on abortion. Well, you know what? They should have no opinion or influence on war either. Then,
Okay.
and if anybody can argue and say that they should, well, then they need to sign up for the selective service, or they're required to sign up for the selective service. So when a country calls them, they have to go too. If the Congress decides to vote to send us to war, and thank goodness neither one of these things happened, Hillary Clinton or Kamala Harris ended up being the president, they could have sent dudes to war, something that women don't have to deal with at all. So trying to compare, or somebody trying to say that, well, because I'm a guy, I shouldn't have any say-so in a woman's reproductive rights, then women should not have any say-so in my life, period. I said that to a woman and her head almost exploded because she had never thought about it that way, because they always say, well, why is it that you have some influence over my body? What about my life? You have influence over my life. So you tell me, what's the difference?
Okay. I guess my response would be we can look at it from the extremes of possibilities. And the one question we would have is if there was a ruling on the legality of abortion at the state level, or what we had in 1972 with Roe versus Wade. I think it was 72. I think it took effect January 70. It was January 73, I guess. Actually, it was January of one of the years. I think it was 73. Anyway, you have Roe versus Wade. How many men were on the Supreme Court that voted for Roe versus Wade?
That voted for it? I have no idea.
Okay. Sorry. I was totally imprecise in presenting that. How many men were on the Supreme Court?
None.
All of them.
Yes.
All of them. Any decisions that were made on abortion in that decision, which many people who are all for maximum amounts of abortion rights, hey, it was a bunch of guys. So whether they had any right to discuss your reproductive rights or whatever, they were the ones that did it. It's a bunch of guys, right? It's all men then.
Yes.
So all these men get together and make this decision. So my question would start with, is it possible that men can serve on the Supreme Court? What would be your response to that?
Yes.
Okay, men can serve on the Supreme Court. Could they ever get a case before them involving abortion and some position a state may take as to the legality of abortion?
Yes. Because
then what the
it is
hell are
illegal
we
issue.
supposed to do then? How can men not have a say on the abortion issue if it could ultimately go to the Supreme Court and you have as many men on the Supreme Court as you have. Now you have what? Now are we 5-4 now, right? It's 5 men,
Are,
4 women. Go ahead. What?
are
What?
are you asking a logical question?
I don't know if it's a logical question or not. You tell
No,
me.
of course, it's a logical question. But the thing is, if you were to ask a woman that question, her head would explode because it's logical, and she
All
would
right.
have no choice but
You
to say, "Well, of course."
you're taking shots at women here again. That I don't know if they're fair. I don't know if that's a fair thing to say about
Well,
women.
in this case, I have to, and the reason
Do
I
you?
have to is because
All right.
the whole abortion issue to them is one-sided, and their only argument is that men don't have any right to tell a woman what to do with their body. And I
I
think I
just
just
think that's
spent
an emotion. That's just an
no, no.
emotional. It's a
I
bumper
understand.
sticker
No,
slogan. It
Jack,
doesn't
I
mean
understand. I
anything.
understand it is a bumper sticker slogan. That's why the example that I gave of me having to sign up for the draft and they don't, but they can vote to send me to war makes their head explode because they can't understand the logic. For them to say or to
No,
try to
no.
say
Look,
that
brother, I
hold on,
am.
hold on, hold on,
No, no,
hold
no.
on,
I'm
hold on,
totally
hold on,
with you.
man.
If you're saying that it is asinine for a woman to say that a man can't speak on the abortion issue, yet a woman could serve in Congress and vote for articles of war and send young men to combat when women don't have to sign for selective service, I'm with you. Totally agree. That's what you're saying.
No, no, but I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about them. They
Mm-mm.
are the ones that have the issue
I
with it.
just said you're saying women should not be able to sit in Congress and vote for a war
No,
if
no,
they
no.
never had to. What am I missing? What am I missing?
No, no, not. But I think is I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about them.
I
I'm
don't know what the
using
hell you just
logic.
said.
I'm
Wait a minute.
using logic to defeat
Wait,
their argument.
when you're saying me and them,
No,
I don't know
no,
what the hell you're
not,
talking about. I just said
I,
you're saying that women shouldn't be able to sit in Congress and vote for wars to send young men into harm's way when they didn't have to sign up with selective service.
no. That's not what I'm saying, Jack.
Oh shit.
I'm
Okay,
just
then
saying
you totally lost me then.
I just use this as an argument to defeat their argument.
Oh,
That's all I'm saying.
wait a minute. I just laid out what the argument was. You're saying you don't really hold that argument. You don't believe in that argument. You just pointed it out to the hypocrisy of the other side.
Because that's what I'm doing, pointing out
I didn't
hypocrisy.
lose you. I didn't lose
Yeah.
you on that. I get that you don't really believe it. I was just laying out what I thought you said the argument was.
Mm.
You're saying that women on the street are saying, men, shut up. You cannot speak on this. It's women's reproductive rights. Therefore, shut up. It's not you. It's only us, and men cannot speak on it. Fair? Tell me how good we are
That
so far.
that's what they say, but unfortunately, that is not reality.
Well,
And
we can get to that next.
but that's why I use the argument of the
I'm trying to go
draft.
one step at a time. Is that not what you're saying they say?
Yeah, yeah, we've all
And
heard them
your
say that.
response to that has been, okay, ladies, if you're going to hold that view, then let's also have a view that if you're a sitting member of Congress and you're in a position to vote for articles of war or a declaration of war, etc., to commit troops somewhere, you don't have a voice to send some young man into harm's way, potentially serving in the United States Armed Forces, because you don't have to register for selective service.
Yeah,
That's what you're
that's
saying.
that's
Okay.
all I'm saying. That
All
I
right.
use that as an example to defeat their argument. That's it.
Well, I think whether it defeats or not, what you're doing is you're showing a high level of hypocrisy.
Yes, very high
Well,
level.
I mean, other shooting fish in a barrel type of arguments. I remember a lot was made of one of these diatribes that Whoopi went on. You know, the View went off on the COVID thing, or actually the vaccine thing. She's like, yeah, I'm hearing people out there saying my body, my choice, my ass. If I tell you to get the shot, you're putting me in danger. That's her saying that. It's like, hey, you're putting me in danger and you will get the shot. Screw your right to your own body. You're like, damn, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You remember
Again, we're
that?
back. Yes, I remember. And we're
Okay.
back to certain people being illogical and they're being completely emotional. That's just another example.
All right. So
Yeah.
what we're basically saying is there's lots of arguments made out there that logically don't hold water. Fair?
Yeah. Fair. But the thing, okay, I'm going to catch hell for this one, but oh well.
Here we go.
What do you do when you have people who are in charge, making decisions, voting, people in the Supreme Court?
Yeah.
like this. Was it Ketanji Jackson Brown, whatever her name is?
Yeah.
She has been chastised by people who philosophically agree with her on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
How much worse could it be? That's the last type of person we need on the Supreme Court. Now, for the people, again, back to when men can't make decisions based on about a woman's we
Yeah.
call it reproductive rights. Well, you have a person on the Supreme Court who can't make a logical argument about anything. That's
But
the last
wait.
person that you have
Ketanji
that you would
Brown
want on the Supreme
Jackson,
Court.
I'm going to tell you what, I'm 137% in favor of her being on the Supreme Court. You know why? She got nominated and she was confirmed by the U.S. Senate. What's the complaint?
The complaint, just from a black guy's point of view, she was a DEI hire. That's why, and she makes the rest of us look bad. She just does.
All right. Let me say something about that. I remember having this discussion with a friend of ours, and I thought this was the comeback. And then I'll tell you what was said. But I remember when they got into the famous line when the U.S. Senator asked Brown, "Can you define a woman?" And she came back with, I'm not a biologist or whatever the response was. I swear what struck me in the moment is what I would have come back with, and I would have said, "Do you know Joseph Biden? Are you familiar with the man named Joseph Biden?" Get whatever response. I mean, if she hems it all, ma'am, are you seriously, you do not know the president of the United States? Oh, yeah, okay, I know the president. You do know the man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Be prepared for this. Hopefully you're prepared. And you could run the clip where he's like, yeah, I'm going to pick a black female to be the next, all right, get that, right? Get that part. And say, are you aware that President Biden said that he wanted to name as a nominee for the Supreme Court a black female? Are you familiar with that? Get whatever response. If she says no, play the clip. Jimmy, play the clip. All right, so now they play the clip. Get to that point. Then you say, so you would agree with me, I have evidence to show you that when Joseph Biden did say he wanted to nominate a black female for the Supreme Court, are we in agreement? Get whatever response and go. Okay, ma'am, did he achieve his objective?
That's interesting. That's very interesting.
If she hems and haws like, no, I want to know this, Miss Jackson. He said he wanted to nominate a black female, a woman, a black woman. Did he achieve the objective? And if she said, well, I think so, how could you know? Because you don't even know what a woman is. You just said moments earlier you did not know that you could positively identify a woman, right?
Yes.
So wouldn't that be kind of a got you moment to say?
Oh, gosh, yes, without a doubt.
So we said, I say this to my friend, and my friend's like, no. Here was the comeback. You should have said, like, if you had to go out and relieve yourself right now, what restroom would you go to?
That's dumb.
It's not a bad one. I mean, I get it.
No, it's a horrible one for the fact that so many people have these unisex bathrooms.
Well, not only that, she would probably say, if I want to step in the men's room, knock myself out because, I have every right to. But I really did. I thought the line was, did President Biden achieve its objective? And if she hems and haws enough, are you saying that President Biden doesn't have the wherewithal to first know that he wanted to nominate such a person, and two, picked you and didn't know what the hell he was doing? How did he know you were a black woman and you didn't know you were a black woman? I mean, there's all kinds of ways you could have gone with that. Go talk to me.
Just again, as a black person,
okay,
it really bothers me when stuff like that is used because it's clearly patronizing. There's no other explanation for it than that. It's patronizing.
All that's fair, but all I'm saying is where she was catching the heat because she was in a political moment where we could not say definitively what a female or what a woman is. She got stuck in that position. Hey, ma'am, sorry. And of course she did have that kind of out, like this could come up as a potential case down the road and I could be compromised and not be able, I can't speak to that.
No, I agree with all that. My real issue is the people who nominated her in the first place and the people who confirmed her. The blame goes to them because they could nominate a frog. I mean, really. But it's the Senate. I mean, the president can nominate a frog. It's the Senate that confirms. You're going to confirm somebody who fits or checks a box. That's it.
It's all rubber stamp. Yeah, it's all rubber stamp.
But that person that you put in that position has been so detrimental to the rest of the country because you just pick somebody to check a box. That's my issue, really. And again, it makes the rest of us look so bad when you put somebody in that position and they spectacularly fail or, turn out to be as much of an incompetent as she is. It really hurts us when that happens. And that's what they did. Instead of Biden just saying, I'm going to hire the best person, and then him in the back of his mind say, well, I'm going to nominate a black woman, that would have been a whole lot better off. It would have been a whole lot better off for him to do that versus what he did. He telegraphed his punch because he wanted to patronize. Oh my gosh, he's gonna nominate a black woman. Blah blah blah. So what? Just say you're going to hire or nominate the best person that you do, or really hire the best person that you want, and it just happens to be a black woman.
Well, he did the same thing to Harris.
No, well, yeah, he said he was going to.
No, but I'm saying he injured her. He injured her because you're my favorite person on earth, right? And if I was looking to, I mean this, as my brother, as my friend. If I was looking, and you know this about us, if I was looking for somebody tomorrow to do something, to be at my right hand or, be with me, I'd pick you in a heartbeat. I got friends.
Same here.
Yeah. Well, you know that about each other.
Yes.
But, and I mean this in all sincerity, I wouldn't come out in the press and say, if I ascended to that kind of position tomorrow, like press, I'm going to pick a black man, and I'm going to pick Charles, who happens to be black, right? Whatever. I really wouldn't think in those terms. Because I know the moment I say that, my point of what he did to Harris, the moment I say, I'm picking Kamala Harris, who is polling less than 1% in the Democrat nominees. Yeah, so she wasn't doing so hot. Now you pick her, and I've understood there was tremendous pressure put on him to put a black female in, et cetera, et cetera. It was the South Carolina bargain, is what I've heard. The South Carolina people that, remember, he makes his major jump during the South Carolina primaries, and the story is, there were some power brokers that said, if you want our support, Joseph Biden, look up that story. I'll look it up after we finish the show.
I know what you're talking about.
Right.
I've heard the same thing. But it was like, you got to go with her. And then it was like, all right, if that's all I got to do is go with the bargain with the one that called me a racist about my position on busing. I always thought that was beautiful. It's all beautiful, right? But my point is, once you've said that about her, you're in effect saying, there is some level of logic again. It's kind of like those Venn diagrams that Kamala likes so much. It's like you're in these different circles. She could be totally in the circle of most qualified people for vice president and be the black female she is, or Indian and black, however that breaks down. But she could also be partly in the circle and partly out of the circle. And there might be some other person who's totally in the circle of most qualified. And now people are going to say, well, the only reason she got the job, Biden said it. I got to pick a female. I got it right. You don't say that. Yeah. Don't say that. He was too dumb to do it. He was too dumb.
Well, he's not the most artful guy there.
No. He was actually smart, because what he did was patronize a whole bunch of people that fell for it. And they did.
Yeah, I think there's also been some stuff said about there was no love lost between the two of them. And by putting her in that position and kind of handicapping her, or I don't know if that's politically incorrect to say, right, but kind of hamstringing her. I don't know if you can say that either, but putting her in a position of scrutiny based upon race and sex, that he kind of insulated himself from. He didn't pick a vice president that's going to outshine him. Let's put it that way. He didn't have to worry about somebody that the people wanted more in the position they wanted him.
So, this is the last thing I'm going to say about this.
Yeah.
If Biden really wanted to be for the black people, he would have resigned earlier.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we would have done. But he didn't do that, and I wonder why.
You know what?
Yeah.
It's funny. It is funny that you say that. I wondered that very thing. I sort of wondered. I wondered if that was going to happen. Was he not going to step away, and in doing so, he was going to go, "There's your incumbent.
Yep.
I'm out, President Harris. Now you got 107 days to run for re-election, or you can run
Yeah.
for election." I think it could have greatly enhanced her situation. I really
It could
do.
have, but
I think
was too arrogant to do it. He knew he wasn't going to run for a second term. And if you really want to throw a bone to the black folks, give them the first female president, but he couldn't even do that. But just my personal opinion, Biden, and I will say this until I die, was a racist piece of shit. And
yeah,
I don't use that term that often. I really don't. He was.
there were moments clearly, like, I mean, there's some things that he said sometimes that you like, well, we're all there. We're all God's children. We're going to have times we kind of slip up and let, our inner thoughts out. We're going to kind of say something. But that one where he goes, what is it? Poor kids and black kids are just as smart as white. No, was they
Right.
just as smart as white kids? Was
He
that
said,
the line?
he said poor kids are just as smart as white kids.
No, I think he said poor. All right, let's get this straight. Oh, one thing, and we're going to go to Biden and his mistakes there, but something I did want to say. I don't think everybody's a walking encyclopedia of the Constitution. I don't expect that. But if you're Harvard and Yale educated lawyers, right? You ought to know. So when you're talking about I watched some of the confirmation hearings, and they were actually quite ridiculous. I do think Hawley and Kennedy, both as U.S. senators, overdo the gotcha moments, especially Josh Hawley. I'm not a big fan.
Yeah, I'm not a
because
fan
of that. Yeah. Kennedy, I think, is kind of charming, but some of that's a lot of shuck and jive. I'm from Louisiana, right? You with him? What I'm saying? He what both of them do. And I'll say this, you know me, and I'm not depressed, and I'm not looking to what all those things you have to say before you say anything involving HC. There's a whole bunch of disclaimers you have to make about don't expect that I'm not feeling well about life. I'm not going to jump off a bridge. You haven't heard this? Whenever you're going to say something questionable about a particular HC, you have to.
that person.
So
yes,
right. So
I don't plan on killing myself.
well, yeah, and I know how to be careful. You have
right.
you have to be with saying that.
Yes, I'm not committing suicide anytime soon. So just in case it happens, that it wasn't me. If there's 3 bullet holes in the back of my head and the gun is nowhere to be found, then I didn't commit suicide.
Yeah, it's something of that nature. So what were we talking about? Biden and where were we on this? Biden and I know what I was going to say. I was going to say something about these senators going after certain nominees, and Kennedy was pretty good at asking some questions. I'm just going to ask you. I'm putting you on the spot. I'm just totally putting you on the spot. I just want to say, I got an idea, but what does Article 2 of the Constitution address?
Oh, the powers of Congress?
No, that's okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Article 1 is legislature. Article 2 is executive branch. Article 3 is judiciary. And Article 4 is basically it's the privileges and immunities among the states. It's all the Article 4 stuff is sort of like you get married in one state and it counts in another state, that kind of stuff. Article 5 has to do with the amendment process, how you amend the Constitution. Article 6 gets into the federal powers, and Article 7 is how they're going to ratify the Constitution. It's really about that simple, right? And again, I know you know all this stuff, but kind of like where it is, it's just really laid out that way. So I'm watching one day, and Kennedy's got a young lady in there, Harvard already serving. They're up in her federal judgeship. She's going from one level of court to the other. And they said, ma'am, Could you tell me what's in there that they're Article 2 of the Constitution? Sir, I've never had that in a legal case, but if I did, I would certainly do my due diligence. I don't want, yeah, but okay, I'm just asking, honey. You know what's in Article 2? Well, sir, if I had a case come before me, I would certainly do my.
I remember that.
Like, I was like, you son of that. You telling me you don't know? It's like, it's the executive branch. I thought. Then he goes, well, can you tell me what's in Article 5 of that Constitution? Sir, if I had that in a case, I would do due diligence. I would do my legal research. I'm like, well, maybe not everybody knows it's the amendment process.
Right.
But I was kind of like, if I'm a Harvard or Yale law graduate and I'm going to sit on a federal bench, and I have heard him ask some questions that are along the lines of kind of have to know that if you've ever been through law school, and they don't. Oh, I know what I was going to say about HC. Now I know what I was going to say. One of the things I said in defense of her is they have that tape of her after getting the guy the very lenient case for the rape.
Yes.
Now, what they say she did was something affecting having control of physical evidence of the prosecution and not returning it. I think there was some arguments about that. Okay. But her on the tape making the joke to another attorney that after this guy was put on the polygraph and passed, she never, that's what lawyers do. Lawyers tell stories and tales of, I can't believe I got a client off on this, or I can't believe that they bought the technicality argument that I made or whatever. Lawyers do that. So when they beat up on her, I think the fact that she may have gone as far, again, I think the allegation was tampering with some of the evidence. But if she defended a guy, I feel horribly for that woman because, I mean, remember Trump brought her to one of the debates and all that. But the fact that she defended, that's my Hawley concern too. I'll put it better that way. Biden's administration had nominees before these federal courts, and he is beating them up about positions they took as advocates for clients. And, like, for example,
you shouldn't do that.
Well, like one of them was like an AG for a governor in one of the states. And they did a COVID policy shutdown of the church. It's like one of those things, right? And they get struck down. So now this woman's sitting in a position as a former AG under a governor who argued the governor's position that you can shut down the churches for COVID concerns. Are you with me?
I know what you're talking about.
Right. I'm saying, shit, I mean, you may not like it. Seems like a First Amendment problem. Well, that's what the court said. So Hawley does this thing where he's hitting her with, and you got over, or your whole argument got shot down by the court. Do you feel terrible? Do you feel like you're just crawling around the floor? And she's like, sir, I was simply advocating for a position, but you knew it was a violation of the First Amendment and these people's sacred freedom of religion. I'm like, dude, back the hell off. Whether it's a bullshit argument she was making or not, she's in a position where she's defending an evil regime, the governor. I'm not saying the governor's right. But clearly walking into a courtroom and advocating for the position that the shutdowns are legal, it's a position. And if she's going to advocate for it, she has to advocate for it. So that's what I'm saying. Some of these senators, and maybe I see it differently as a trained attorney, but I'm like, come on, that's not fair to beat them up for former advocacy that, they act like that's their personal position. And it might be their personal position, but it's not fair to beat up on a lawyer that once represented a client.
Then I think her argument would have been, Senator Hawley, did you vote for that unconstitutional bill? That would have been my argument to him. Because how many of those people are sitting in Congress that are voting for unconstitutional bills? And he's going to point the finger at a woman because of the stance that she made during the case. Well, dude, you did something just as bad by voting for an unconstitutional bill. Now what? What do you have to say?
Yeah, I just think it's one of those things, if you practice law, and all of these people have, Hawley has, and Kennedy. I mean, Kennedy knows his law. You can tell he's a good lawyer. I mean, I think they're both fabulous lawyers, but I think they're grandstanding a lot. I mean, clearly, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. And there's certain members of the House that grandstand all the time. One in particular, whoa, man, it's just so over the top, which is part of what I was talking about in the last show that we did in discussing my frustration sometimes. in that I know we both are very similar in this feeling. I'm not a Republican, and I'm clearly not a supporter of the Democrat Party at all. But I don't think the Libertarian Party has a chance in hell of ever having any influence. I think people that have a libertarian view can influence whatever parties. But I just think most people in politics have a wrong view of the function of government, like absolute. Doesn't mean it doesn't mean we don't talk about it. Doesn't mean we don't have concerns about it. But I just think that so much of the time I hear kind of rank and file people that I generally will like a lot because they probably more Republican right. I think it's a more sane position to take. They look at some of these people. Kennedy, for example, I was talking to a friend, I'm like, oh, I just love him. He's such a sweet man and all. I'm like, my criticism of his attacks on some of these nominees, I just think it's a little over the top, and I think some of it's unfair. You don't talk about him. He's a sweet man. I'm like, all right, he's a sweet man. Okay, whatever. And then Hawley's a sweet guy, whatever. And it becomes like, it's like the old like worldwide wrestling, or it's like you're rooting for football teams and you can't say anything about the star quarterback. It's everything that they do is either it becomes cartoonish, does it not? The whole battle over the politics.
Yes, I agree with you. It does. It's becoming annoying, but I do see a split. There's something that's started. This is for another podcast.
All right.
Yeah, how about we save this for the next one, because I will explain where I see a common thread.
All right.
And it's very interesting.
Okay, Charles. This is Charles and Jack. This is More to Consider. Chuck and Jack, please subscribe.
Like. And comment.
Please give nasty comments if you'd like. But all right, love you, brother.
Thanks for tuning in. If you like the show, subscribe and hit your notification button to get an update when we post another episode. See you soon.